This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
All right, welcome back live from Arlington at Big 12 Media Days. I am John Kurtz, joined by Derek Young here on 3MA. And, of course, we have the quarterback of the Wildcats, Will Howard, with us yet again. We're excited to bring him back one more time here on the pod, which is, of course, brought to you by our friends at Holiday Distillery. 360 Vodka, Ben Holiday Bottled and Bond Bourbon, whatever you need to get stocked up for the lake, whatever you're doing this summer, or for tailgate season, which, of course, is just around the corner. Make sure you go out and get that. Great K-State folks who support us here on the pod, so support them as well. All right, we just talked to you not that long ago, QB1, but now you're here taking in all the lights of this stadium once again, which I'm sure you're pretty fond of at this point. What's it been like being like the guy, the Big 12 champ, returning here to Big 12 Media Days?
Yeah, everyone's been asking me what's it like to be back in the stadium, man. As soon as we walked out on the field, you know, all the emotions just came right back. You know, it's like we're sitting under the goalpost that Ty put the kick through, and it's just so cool. This place is amazing, and coming back, you know, coming into this season as being the starter, being the guy it's so much different than where I was at last year this time, and it's really cool. It's been really nice for me. It's a privilege. It's a blessing to kind of be in the position that I am now.
Can you sense like a different level of respect from people around the league, whether it's just media or players that you're running into here?
I mean, this is my first time at Media Days, so I mean, obviously it's nice to be my first time being a reigning champion, but you can definitely feel it. You know, a bunch of people have been saying, you know, here come the champs and all that stuff, which is kind of cool to hear. But as much as we love that, you know, we're trying not to feed into that too much. We're trying to kind of keep our heads down and remember that that's behind us, and this year is a new year. You know?
Is it easier to do that with Texas being picked first instead of you?
You know, I try not to listen to the preseason rankings because, you know, that doesn't really matter. It only matters what you do on Saturdays and stuff. But you know, that we take everything we can to motivate us. So, you know, any little extra edge we can give ourselves is good.
Yeah, some of your teammates mentioned you not getting first team pick as well. But I'll ask you, Cooper Beebe wasn't a unanimous pick. That seems a little off as well.
That's I feel like that's absurd that he wasn't a unanimous pick. I don't know who was in charge of that, but no, I mean, obviously, like I said, like the preseason isn't indicative of what's going to happen at all. Like we're just, you know, I kind of like it. You know, I'd rather not be picked. You know, I don't want to be that guy that's picked. I want to be the guy that's coming for that guy that's picked. You know, I want to be. That's kind of who we are. That's who K-State is. You know, we're a chip on our shoulder, kind of underdog mentality. And even though we are the reigning champs, I feel like we're still adapting that mindset.
But is it motivating to you that you weren't the first team All Big 12 quarterback?
I mean, it's motivating, yeah, for sure. But I like I said, I try not to look at that stuff and read into it too much. I'm gonna just keep working hard and doing what I do.
Who's your favorite quarterback across the league to watch?
I got to meet a couple of them down at the Manning Passing Academy, and they were all really cool dudes. Garrett Green from West Virginia. I really like Quinn from Texas, and Chandler from TCU. And then John Rice Plumlee was cool. I mean, he's a good player. It's really cool because he plays baseball too. I don't know if you guys saw that like thing where he did like the spring. I just talked to him here. I know he's doing a camp where he's doing like half baseball, half football for like a kids camp, which is, I don't know, it's pretty cool. It's a really good idea. So those guys are the guys that I've interacted with the most, and you know, I'm obviously you try to have relationships with everybody you go against, and it's cool because then after the game, you know, there's that mutual respect going on, and it's, you know, you like competing against guys that you like to hang out with.
Were you a baseball player?
I did play baseball.
Okay.
Up until 8th grade. I played baseball, lacrosse. I swam for a little bit, and then basketball and football. That was it. I never played soccer. That was the only thing I really did.
The swimming, though.
That was an interesting one, right?
Well, I know. Well, so, like, growing up, my mom was a big swimmer growing up.
Okay.
My sister, she played and swam at Penn State for 2 years. She's still there. She ended up having an injury that stopped her from playing. But when I was like 8 years old when I was swimming. And it was like, my mom was like, just go out for the swim team this summer. Like, you know, might as well try it out. And then, you know, I'm a competitive guy, so I'm going to go out there and try to win, right. You know. And I still remember 8 and under, 25-yard backstroke. I lost to this one kid named James, and still pissed off about it.
You're that much of a competitor that long ago.
I'm telling you, I still remember it. He touched me out. It's all good, though.
That's pretty great. Any other names or any other scores you need to settle from childhood athletics?
No. Other than that, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But, it's funny. I always go back. Like, we're watching film, like, yesterday, the day before, and I remember, like, we were watching fall camp from last year. I'm like, and I remember it was some throw I missed to Seth, and I was like, dang it, like, I missed this throw. Seth's like, how do you remember that? Like, I like, before the play even started, I just saw the play, and I was like, I remember this one.
So you have like a Sean McVay element where you can remember every single play, the name of it?
I don't know about every single play, but most of them that I'm in for, at least, I can remember, like, back of my hand, especially because I've probably watched it a million times over.
Is there one from last season that pisses you off, like during the actual games?
I mean, the Alabama 4th down on the goal line, that one lingers with me. That's the one. That's the only one I can really think of off the top of my head, honestly. TCU. The first time I played TCU, I missed Cade just by, like, his fingertips. That one, too. Those are the two I can think of.
Have you developed a new favorite wide receiver? Because I know you had Cade a lot last year in the league. You have Phil back, but is there another one that's like, okay, this guy's my guy now?
I mean, obviously Ben. I mean, Ben's my guy. But it's funny because you remember those cat talks that we were doing for a while?
Yeah.
RJ asked me, like, who's your favorite receiver? I was like, I can't tell you. Like, I can't answer that. Like, I don't have a favorite receiver. You guys are all my favorite. You know what I mean? But I love all of them. Like, Phil is really stepping up into a leadership role this year, which is really cool to see because he's kind of a quiet kid. You know, he doesn't really say a lot, but he's doing what he can to be more of a leader this year, and that's cool to see. RJ's doing some really good things. Ben's a freaking beast. Keegan's going to be a stud too. I think Jaden Jackson's got a chance to be a really good player. So, I'm lucky. I got plenty of weapons. I'm spoiled.
You got about 10 offensive linemen too, right?
Exactly. I know. I got that guy right there coming back, and man, I'm spoiled. I got everybody around me. Like, they're making my job easy.
You ever watch any film of Colin back in the day playing, like, for stuff that you can pick up from him, or are you two different quarterbacks so it doesn't really?
I've seen clips of him. I've never really watched film of him to, like, try and better myself. I like try to pick things out of. Probably should do that at some point, honestly. I've definitely seen him, like, plays of him just, like, trucking people and stuff, which is cool to see because now he's like a real lean guy, and he's very mild-mannered, very faithful guy. But you watch him play, and you're like, man, this dude's violent. He's out there, like, knocking dudes over. It's pretty cool to watch, like, because the way I know him is not at all like that.
Right. Does he tell you much in terms of, like, his playing career? Use examples from his career that can help you guys out?
Definitely. I mean, he's the same way I am. Like, he'll bring up a play from 2012 against this team and, like, say how he's pissed off that he missed this throw. He's the same way, but, like, he's told me a bunch of stories from his playing days, and how his first college football snap, I think he was on kickoff and got, like, smoked by somebody, just got put on his butt. Like, he's told us a lot of stories, and it's funny, a lot of times in the pregame meal, like right before games, it was Adrian, I think, that he would prompt him a lot and ask him these questions about, like, his playing days, and it was pretty funny. Like, you'd get him going a little bit, and we would just, because at that point, all your preparation's kind of done. The hay's pretty much in the barn, so you kind of just kind of chopping it up, hanging out, and he said some of the best stories in that setting right there.
What's the difference between this year's offense from last, without giving away, like, what you guys are going to do? But
yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's the fact that I'm the starter going into the year, and, like, obviously we're going to tailor it a little more to my strengths. Obviously I'm not as good of a runner as Adrian is, so we're trying to do a lot more stuff, trying to push the ball down the field, and obviously Deuce left, so we got. But the thing is, like, everyone's asking how are you going to replace Deuce, but I think I told you guys a couple weeks ago, like, we got Trayshawn and DJ, and those guys are studs in their own right. So I don't want them to try and beat Deuce. I want them to be themselves, and I think that they're going to bring a really cool element to our offense as well.
One team in the Big 12, besides the 4 new teams, and you're going to play 2 of them, that you haven't beat is Texas. Is that something in your mind at all?
Yeah, that's definitely one that we've got circled because I think we beat everybody except for Texas at this point. So that one will be a really fun one down in Austin. I'm really looking forward to that, especially because they're kind of getting a lot of hype right now. So that'll be fun.
What's your favorite route to throw or your favorite ball to throw out there on the field? Like if it comes up, you're like, this is the one I want.
Man, I love throwing posts. Posts are, I mean, you can't go wrong with throwing a post. The post is always open. That's our joke that we like to say. But I like throwing dig routes. I think digs coming from the right to the left are one of my favorite routes to throw. I don't know. I also like out routes going to the right, like 10-yard outs. I don't know. I got a bunch.
Does it depend too, like on the target? Like, hey, for this guy, I would rather throw this.
Like I love throwing Phil taper fades from the inside, where he like runs an inside fade. I love throwing those to Phil. I think RJ runs really good. I think Keegan runs really good, like stop routes, dime routes. I think RJ runs really good out routes. Like everybody's got a different thing. I think Sinnott runs really good, like curls, things of that nature. So
I know it's hard to pick just one. What's one young guy on each side of the ball? We're not talking about now, but 3 months from now we are.
I think a guy on offense is going to be a stud. Is Trey Spivey. I think I've seen some flashes out of him. He obviously just got here, so he doesn't really know what he's doing yet. But I think once he figures that out, he's an incredibly talented kid. I think he'll be able to do some really good stuff. And I think a guy that will probably have a big impact this year as a true freshman is Austin Romaine on defense. I think he's going to be a really, really good player for us too.
Heard that one a few times. What's he doing?
He's a stud, and a couple times I'd be out there in the spring, and he'd be out there at playing Mike Backer and coming and just laying dudes out on the offensive line. I'm like, who is? Like, I didn't know he was a true freshman. I'm looking out, I was like, that's Austin. Oh my gosh, he doesn't look like a true freshman either. He's a big dude. He's built, and he's smart too. So he's done a lot of really good things, and he's only going to get better from here.
That's another recruiting gem. He was like the least ranked guy in the entire class.
I was going to say, I don't know a ton about him. Yeah,
that's
from
crazy.
the recruiting part.
Kent State was his only big offer. Yeah,
that's wild. It's crazy how that works.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, speaking of that, like how much different does the roster look now as opposed to the roster that you came into when you first entered the program in terms of talent, depth, size, everything?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of talent and all that, like we've definitely gotten better. Like the transfers that we've gotten, the high school guys we've gotten, like you can just tell. I mean, obviously when you win, that helps things. So like the couple good years that we've put together, and obviously last year helped a ton, and we've gotten some really talented players. But I think the real difference for me, like from coming in to now, is the culture, and that is so much different. We're so much more together as a group, and it's so cool to see. Like just going around the locker room, you can go and hang out in any section. There's no cliques. There's no, everybody's just kind of hanging out and having a good time, and it's just very, very family-like environment.
I was thinking of this because we asked Daniel earlier what the hardest hit is that he's delivered in his college career. So what's the hardest hit that you've taken in your college career?
Was it from Daniel?
Thank God, no. I'm glad that he's on my team. That's all I will say. I've seen him lay the wood on some dudes. What did he say? I got to ask what he said. Did he say it was the one against Jason Bean?
No, which we were kind of thinking that it might be. He said it was his first game last year. There was a screen because he said Kobe blew somebody up and he wanted to go get one too, and so he made it a point to go. Yeah. So was that South Dakota in the first game last year, maybe? So
I don't even know if I would remember that. Maybe if I saw it, I remember. But man, the hardest hit I've taken, I feel like my freshman year we played Iowa State. That was not a very good game, and I remember we were down by a lot, and they brought a blitz off the one edge, and our O-line fanned it, and Harry Trotter didn't get the call, and the guy came off the edge. It was just like I didn't slide it the right way. It was all messed up, and this guy just lit me up. I had the ball right here. It was freezing cold. I had the ball right here. The dude I had a bruise all over my elbow for the next week. It was brutal, but that was definitely, I think, my hardest.
I feel like those games are always cold. Iowa State.
Oh yeah, every time we play Iowa State, no matter if it's home or away, I feel like it's freezing every year.
How much does that affect you as a quarterback, trying to throw the ball? Do we make too much of that sometimes, the conditions, or does it really affect things a lot?
Yeah, I mean, a lot. The weather definitely factors into it a lot. For me, especially the rain, obviously the wind. I think I'd rather play in a rainy game than a windy game.
Really? Okay.
So Mizzou last year.
Yeah, I'd rather play in Mizzou last year than Iowa State in 2019 when it was
yeah.
I mean, obviously it was super cold.
That was the coldest game I can remember.
I wasn't there, but Skylar was telling me it was frigid.
Yeah.
And so I went to, I mean, in terms of hot versus cold, I'd probably rather play in cold. Your hands get a little, stiff, so it's kind of hard to grip it sometimes. But I feel like it's a little better than hot because then your hands are all sweaty. And like when I was down at the Manning camp last week, or 2 weeks ago, it was so hot. Like the ball was slipping out of all of our hands. Like it was so slimy and humid and wet.
Yeah.
Who would surprise us as some of the funniest players on the team?
I mean, I think you'd probably know that Gilly.
Okay.
Gilly's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's probably the funniest on the team. I think Kobe's hysterical. He cracks me up. I think Will Lee's a really funny dude. The Blanket. He's funny, man. Yeah, he's really funny. I think RJ is hilarious.
Did he catch some flack by coming in with that nickname?
Not really, honestly. If he would have been like arrogant about it, but like he just totally went with it, and like it was really funny because every time I see him, I call him Blanket. I'm like, "What's up, Blanket?" And Gilly started calling him the Snuggie and like played it off a little bit. It was pretty funny. But he's awesome. I love Will.
Who is the chippiest team that you've gone out there and played? Like, what was the chippiest game that you can remember?
I remember the most flack I've gotten, like trash talk I've gotten from a team. I think it's probably West Virginia in 2020. Those guys talk so much stuff, man. It's crazy. Like they are always talking. I think TCU a little bit too, but not as bad. Their fans were horrible, but not as bad.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, their fans were not good, but I West Virginia.
So TCU fans even worse than Oklahoma State if they're right on top of you?
I don't know. I mean, you go back and forth. TCU were just loud and obnoxious, which I mean, good for them. It makes for a tough environment to play in. And Oklahoma State is weird just because they're literally right on top of you.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. But I think
Friday
night down there this year, so that'll be fun. Both are fun places to play.
Are you a trash talker on the field?
I'm not really. Very rarely will I talk trash. Only if like somebody says something to me first. If somebody says something to me first, I'll go back at them and say something. But I'm never gonna start it. I'm not like Kobe. I mean, like Kobe. You gotta ask Kobe and I. We go back and forth, and like in our captain's practices, him and Jordan Wright just sit there and yell at me the whole time and tell them that I need to throw it their way, and then I yell at them. I'm just like, I'm not throwing it at you because he's not open. Like, I'm like, it's just like we just go back, but we have a fun time with it.
Cooper Beebe's the All-American. Has he got into it yet?
He likes to talk a little smack sometimes. Not on the field as much, but more off the field. Like he'll sit here and we're on the way here, and the pilot's like, hey, make sure we got the big boys in the back, and Cooper's like, hey, Will, me and you are in the back. I'm like, come on, man. He's like grouping me in with the O-line. I'm like, whatever. But no, he likes to give me a hard time.
So who is the biggest trash talker on the team then?
I honestly would put Kobe up there with one of the biggest trash talkers. I think a sneak. Well, last year I would say Felix was definitely a trash talker. He likes to talk about. But yeah, I'd say one of our either VJ or Kobe.
VJ, he's young.
He is young, but he'll talk a little smack.
You got to get someone on the offense. Yeah. Nobody on the offense is sticking up with.
RJ seems like he'd be pretty good at it.
RJ definitely can talk a little stuff for sure. And Gilly will go at, like when we're in captain's practice, Gilly's yelling at all the DBs and everything. It's pretty funny.
Okay. All right. So you got a little bit of it represented on the offense.
Yeah. We go back at it. There's no doubt. Me too. Me included.
Okay. Well, hey, Will, we found a way to do this a third time in like the last 3-4 months. Make it entertaining, hopefully. Yeah. But hey, we really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your media day experience. Safe travels.
Appreciate you guys having me on again. It's always good to hop on this pod. So appreciate you guys.